Are you considering purchasing a Kubota L3902, new or used, and want to know a little bit more details and features and specs on it? I'm going to go over that in this video today. Hey guys, Zach here from Kubota Lynchburg, and today I wanted to go over the Kubota L3902. This is the largest of the standard L series that Kubota makes. After this, you go up in frame size to the L4701. So this is a great compact tractor size with roughly 39 horsepower. And I say roughly because it's actually about 37 and a half, but roughly a 39 horsepower tractor. And you can get it with a whole bunch of different options and features. You have two different transmission options and different tire options, and we'll go over that. But as in all my videos, I like to start with the front, work my way back. So we're going to start with the front end loader. We have the LA526 loader right here. It stands for loader arms, 526 kilograms of lift capacity. So you're roughly about 1,100 pounds of lift capacity. Now you can definitely do a little bit more than that if you have like a set of pallet forks and you're only picking it up a foot off the ground. I have other YouTube videos out there that'll actually show this maxing out the lift capacity. But keep in mind with right counterbalance, 1,100 pounds is pretty easy for this tractor. So we're gonna go ahead to the very front where we have a 66-inch, so 5.5 foot bucket on the front. Good for scooping up material, gravel, dirt, mulch. It is a universal style quick attach coupler for this bucket. So if I were to pull both of these levers here, I could disconnect this bucket in about 3 seconds. It'll pop right off. You can back away from it. And then you can pull up to different implements like pallet forks and bale spears and grapples and snowblades and other implements on the front. And since it is the universal style quick attach, you can get them from basically anywhere. You don't have to come back to Kubota to buy them. You can get them from all over the place. So that's the joy of it being universal. We do have, the dual cylinders that help with your lift capacity to it. When you get the front end loader, you do get the Grille Guard on the front of this tractor as well. It's got the holes drilled for extra protection. If you were going to get like a grapple or something, Kubota actually makes extra grill pieces so those branches don't come back up and puncture through here. Speaking of this, we do have new LED front lights on it, as well as side LED lights that I'll show you real quick. So right here you have your LED side lights. So let's say you have the bucket in front. You can still see off to the sides and see where you're going a little bit easier with those side LEDs. That's nice on this new 02 series. To get underneath the hood, you would pull this little spring here. That comes forward. Pull a little ring and it lifts itself up, which is nice. I don't have to do any of the work. So underneath here, it's nice and dusty, but you can see you've got your air filter housing, you've got your battery, your coolant, if you ever needed to jump it or coolant, and then you've got a fuse box here. And if you're ever starting to overheat, the first thing to check is check your radiator screen, which is right here. You pull it out, brush it off, and that's how you get to that. So everything is very easily accessible underneath this hood, which, as with all Kubota tractors, metal hood, metal fenders, solid equipment. Kubota builds nothing but quality. So as we come around, we'll go ahead and talk tire options. These are the new R14 hybrid tires. These have become very popular the last couple years. They're a good mix between turf, agricultural, and industrial, kind of the best features of each. But you do have 4 tire options, which there's other videos out there explaining which ones to choose. You've got R14 hybrids, R4 industrials, R1 agricultural farm tires, and then you have turf tires, which are very unusual to get on a tractor of this size, because this tractor with the front end loader and fluid filled tires does weigh a little bit over 4,000 pounds. It is a heavy tractor and it's designed to be that way. So if you take a look at this front axle here, it is a very solid heavy duty cast steel front axle, very heavy duty components to it. Again, designed to be a solid workhorse. Weight is not an issue with this one, where some of my smaller tractors, they try to keep the weight down for running over grass. This one, they try to keep the weight and the rigidity of it up, because you want to be able to push, pull, and do all sorts of work without damaging this tractor. So as we go to the back of the tractor, we'll take a look at this 3-point hitch, which, talking about the solidness of it, you can see the thickness of the steel in your 3-point hitch arms. I mean, that is probably almost an inch or maybe even an inch thick of steel. This is a very solid, heavy workhorse, large cast steel transmission and axle housings to it. You've got a good solid drawbar. Again, the L series is Kubota's like bread and butter. That and their subcompact BXs, it's where they really are the best in the industry, the best in the market. So on an L3902, you can run all sorts of implements behind this. With a 38 horsepower engine, 39 horsepower engine, you can run 6-foot bush hogs and 6-foot tillers and 6-foot box blades and 8-foot rear blades and all sorts of attachments and implements on the back of it, because you have a lot of horsepower with a pretty solid, heavy tractor. You do have a folding roll bar, so if you are using some of those implements in tight areas, low-hanging limbs, or trying to get into a barn or a garage that is a little bit shorter with the doorway, you can fold this roll bar down. So if we go around to the operator station then, Kubota makes it easy to get on, as well as with the new 02 series. We now have these rubber floor mats, which is nice. Some water on the seat. So we've got rubber floor mats, so they're non-slip. They're also going to keep the vibration down through your, transmitting through the floor panel to your feet, so it makes it a little bit more comfortable. You have a very easy ergonomic layout of all your controls, so your loader arms here. This is a suspension seat. You can adjust the suspension seat as well, so it is a full suspension seat. You can add armrest to it. It's not standard because some people like and some people don't like armrests on these tractors, but it's an option. And then you have your loader controls here. So if you go ahead, I'll show you guys some of the controls and features and functions. Now this is a gear drive model. As I was mentioning, you can get both gear drive or hydrostatic. On the gear drive, you have your shifter in the center here. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. And on this side, you're going to have your high and low range. So you've got 4 gears forward and high, 4 gears forward and reverse, and then, in your low range as well. And it is basically like a shuttle shift, just rather than being on your steering column like a lot of the older tractors, it's over here for forward and reverse to make it easy to use again. On the gear drive transmission, you have your clutch over here, brake pedals over here, and you have a little throttle pedal right there. On a hydrostat, you would have your brake pedals here, and you'd have a forward and reverse pedal right here. A hydrostat is a little easier to use than a gear drive, but you lose a little bit of power. You actually lose about 2 PTO horsepower for running your implements, so keep that in mind when you're picking and choosing between them. And also a hydrostat is about $1,000 more roughly in price. So on your controls, you do have some of your emissions controls here. Because this is over 25 horsepower tractor, you do have a DPF, diesel particulate filter. There is no DEF, there's no actual fluid you have to add, and this does its own burn off sequence, but it's very easy to do that. I got other videos explaining all that. You've got your fuel gauge, RPMs, where you're supposed to be running your tiller and bush hog, temperature gauge, and hour meter right here. Again, very easy readout, easy to see. You can see with your front end loader, you have good visibility here of everything going on because you're sitting kind of high up, which is nice on the suspension seat. And you've got your loader controls here, which are very easy to use. It's a double acting valve, which means you can basically raise your loader arms and tilt your bucket simultaneously as you're using them. So that's the L3902. Again, it's a 39 horsepower tractor. You get a good PTO, good 3-point hitch off of it. Very solid, heavy tractor, good for workhorse. So it's the same frame size as the L2501, the L3302, and the L3902, but this is the biggest you can get in a compact tractor that can still fit in tight areas without getting too big, too massive, too expensive, because it's still decently well affordable. Right now in April of 2023, and it depends on transmissions and tire options and loader options and everything like that, you're probably talking somewhere in the low $30,000 for this tractor, plus or minus a little bit, of course, during those. But again, for a Kubota diesel 4-wheel drive 40 horsepower tractor, that's actually pretty impressive. So if you have any questions, other questions about the 3902, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll be happy to answer.